have we got a clear definition? What is actually error correction?
Well, I think sometimes in the teaching world, we can think of it in a very narrow way as, just telling students, you did this wrong, this is incorrect, with the thought of course, helping them improve their language skills. But I think it's good to keep in mind that you have to also let them know what they're doing well, and then really hone that error correction in on the target language or the purpose of the lesson. That's kind of what I like to think about when I think of error correction. What about you, Matina?
I thought that was such a good point that you just raised. Yes, we need to be letting our students know what they're doing well as well.
And something else I think about is how often is the error occurring? Sometimes maybe it might not be directly related to the target language, but something I try to think about, especially if it's like a student I've been working with for a while. I don't want it to become fossilized, that they've made the error, they've made it so many times that it's so hard to break that cycle. So even when that happens, even though it might not directly be related to the target language, but if I notice that and it's so frequent, that also might be a thought where I'm thinking, you know what, this might be a good idea to just stop and let them know that this is the incorrect way to say it. This is the correct way to say it.
Why should we correct errors at all? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think one thing, that's obviously very, to me, is obvious, is, the student comes to learn English and they've come online because they want to improve their English. They might need it for work. They might need it to qualify for, to get into the university, traveling. They have different reasons for learning English, but they want to improve their English. And that's why they've come to learn online. And many students, while we do have some students that are brand new, I've noticed that many students they've already tried different ways to learn English. And I also think that so the students are generally expecting the teacher to incorporate some type of error correction because they want to know, hey, what am I doing? What do I need to work on? How do I sound? Can you understand me? So, Matina, how do you prefer to correct the student? Do you prefer to explicitly say, you said this, but you should have said this, or do you prefer to try to get the student to correct themselves, also known as eliciting?
I will always go for eliciting. I don't know if this is just a teacher habit of mine, but I explicitly saying what the correct form is will be my last resort, kind of. I will always try to challenge my student to just highlight perhaps, there's a mistake here. Do you want to try again? Or if they need a little bit more prompting, maybe tell them exactly what the error is, but I would try to have them correct it.
Elicitation is always what I'll go for first. At times I can do a recast, just repeat back to them with the correct form. But I've noticed that sometimes or many times the students don't necessarily understand where the error is, or they in their mind, they're thinking that's exactly what you said. Also, something that has worked well for me is by using intonation. So for example, if they said, on Saturday, I go to the beach. So I might repeat it back to them. On Saturday, I go to the beach. And then that's kind of like the key to them. Oh, something's wrong with that. I generally have specific times in the lesson when I do try to include feedback, generally after a task or when we're introducing certain target language and they're practicing it for the first time. That's generally when I'm going to try to include it. So especially if it's a newer student, if they're a little shyer, I'm probably going to, look at specific times to let them know that this is when I want to give them feedback. What about you? What are your strategies with that?
That's my preference as well, to just give delayed feedback after, because a lot of the time a student might make a mistake, but it's not actually an error. It's just a slip of the tongue, or they just forgot the rule for a moment, and then they go back and they use the form again or the vocabulary item and they use it properly. So I do want to give them time, as well as myself, a little bit more time to just sit back and listen to what they're saying and see what is actually important for me to provide correction on.
Yes, I agree. And something that I want to make sure that I always avoid is correcting the student so much, or in the middle when they're in the middle of saying something and they've actually lost their train of thought.
That's a real
Because I
danger.
think, yeah, that's a real danger. It was great to talk about this and just kind of, talk out loud about, how we can help the students incorporating error correction, but for their benefit.
It was great talking to you as well. And thank you so much for all your tips and your strategies that you shared. I can't wait to teach and start implementing them.
Same here, Matina. We'll definitely have to reconnect to see, how things go going forward.
Awesome. Have a great day then.
You too. Take care, Matina. Bye-bye.